In this video on CenterPoint budgeting, we'll be discussing the topic of assigning an amount to multiple periods. That's when you want to take an amount and you want to put the same amount in multiple periods in the budget. Okay, this particular video will not be talking about allocating those amounts to different management details such as profit centers or departments, production centers or locations, or even projects. Okay, it'll just be going ahead and talking about entering in the amounts without allocating them. There will be separate videos on how to allocate those to those management details. As we go through this video, we're going to be talking about these budgets using two different budgeting modes. Those budgeting modes are discussed in a different video, but one of the budgeting modes is called offset to cash. So under File and Properties, this is the screen that I had when I first created this budget. On the Entry Mode tab for this first one, I've selected Journal Entry Offset to Cash. We will also be doing a video with the entry mode of, well, it'll also be included in this video, the entry mode of open entry, just so you can see how the different entry modes affect all of the other financial statements, the balance sheet and the income statement. Okay, we'll be doing all of our budgeting on the Flow of Funds tab. All of the budgeting is always done on the Flow of Funds tab, and the Flow of Funds tab has all of your income statement accounts up at the top. And then after you get through all of those income statement accounts, which I have a lot in this database, after you get through all those income statement accounts, it also has, I'm sorry, I happen to be on the income statement right now. After all of the income statement accounts on the Flow of Funds, it starts, I'm going to scroll down a little bit further here, and it starts getting into your balance sheet accounts. So you'll have assets, liability, and equity accounts down there. Okay, so I want to show you how the budget entry that we put in is going to affect those. So I'm going to come back up here to the top, and the budget entry that we're going to be entering in is actually going to be an expense. So I'm going to collapse my revenue accounts and collapse my cost of goods accounts so that we can be looking at just the expense accounts. Okay, so our company has, so in a previous video actually, we had gone ahead and put in $350 in each of the quarters for building insurance. But sometimes you have an amount that you need to put into each and every one of the periods. And instead of having to type that amount into each one of those, it would be nice to have methods of being able to assign that amount to multiple periods. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. So for insurance equipment here, let's say that the amount of insurance equipment that we pay every month is $210. I could type $210 into the first entry there. And then the system does allow you to copy that across. So to do that, I would either have to hit a Control and C on my keyboard or go to Edit and Copy to Clipboard. Okay, then I want to take and I want to highlight the cells that I want to copy it to. So I was a little sloppy in doing that. And then the only way to paste it into those cells is to hit the Control and V as in Victor on your keyboard, and then that'll copy it across. So that's one way to go ahead and get that information assigned to multiple periods. We also have an adjustment screen that would do that. So let's say that for insurance vehicles, we have a $200 expense in each month. Okay, so we would go ahead and we could, instead of typing it into the cells there at all, we can go to an adjustment screen. So under Edit and under Adjustments, there's an adjustment screen. And you'll see up here at the top, we're going to have all of our expense accounts. Now I could filter this and I could say, I want these filtered by the account category of insurance expense. So I'm just looking at those insurance expense accounts. Okay, otherwise it's going to show me all of my accounts. So I'm going to just look at the insurance expense accounts. Okay, so right now I have, $350 in each quarter for building. I have $210 a month for insurance equipment. And for the insurance vehicles, I want to put $200 a month into that. So the easiest way to do that is to come down here under adjustment type and choose assign an amount to multiple periods. So that means we're going to assign the same amount to multiple periods. These are the periods that we want to assign it to. So it doesn't have to be 12 periods. If you were doing this for a 6-month period, or whatever range of time you need to do that for, you're going to select your date range. If there was data already in those cells, we could either be replacing it or adding to that data. We're going to be replacing it, and the amount that we're going to put in there is $200. Now, in order for it to do that, I need to go ahead and click Perform Adjustment. And I can go ahead and say yes. And then we'll see that that amount is going to go from 0 in each month over to $200 in each month. Now, I still have the opportunity to override something. So if you had one particular month, let's say we had an odd amount and we needed 201 in that particular month, I could go ahead and override that amount. I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to show you how you could do that. But you could go ahead and override any amount in here. Now, in order to get it to copy to the budget, I actually have to apply that figure then. So I could go ahead and click Apply. And then we should see in the background over here, even if we don't get out of the adjustment screen, we should be able to see that that go across and copy across on that budget line. So we'll see there right below where it says 210. It's just taking a second here to go ahead and bring that in. Okay, well, it repositioned itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save on that. And then as I go ahead and look in the budget, now I could have gone through a whole bunch of other accounts and done the same thing to those accounts before hitting the Save button and coming back to my budget. So you can be working in the adjustment screen for multiple accounts for a long time. You don't have to save and then come back to an account right away. Okay, so I'm going to close up the revenue, close up the cost of goods, and as we come back down here to insurance now, we're going to see that the $200 got copied across there. So $200 went across to each of those particular months. Now, since this was using journal entry offset to cash, I just want to scroll down here to my, on the Flow of Funds tab, you're going to have all your income statement accounts up at the top, but then you have your balance sheet accounts down at the bottom. So all of the activity for each one of those months is going to be totaled here. It's all going to be automatically offset to cash. So it's reducing my cash in each of those months. You see here in each of the quarters that it went ahead and it's a little bit more than the other months, and that's because I had that quarterly building insurance expense. But it's reducing the cash by each of those in each of those months. Okay, that is going to flow through to the balance sheet. So if down here I click on the balance sheet, you're going to see that each month the balance of the bank account is being adjusted. Okay, so it's a balanced entry, and you're able to monitor what the balance of your cash accounts are at any given time throughout your budgeting period. And it also flows through to my income statement. So if I were to close up my revenue and my cost of goods accounts here and come down here, you'll see that it went ahead and it brought all those figures through to the income statement as well. Okay, so you can see all of that occur there on that. Now I'm going to flip over to a different budgeting mode. I'm going to flip over to the open entry budget. Okay, so you can see I have the same set of accounts up and everything, but this one I've got labeled Budget Open Entry. And if I was to go to File and to Properties and go to the Entry Mode tab, you would see that when I created this budget, I chose the entry mode of Open Entry. And I'm going to go down to those same accounts that I just entered budget figures in for in the other budget. And you can see here that I haven't entered those in here. So just like before, I could go ahead and put the $210. I could go ahead and enter in $210 here in the entry mode tab. Not in the entry mode tab, but into the cell. I actually am on the income statement right now, so I actually need to go back over here to my flow of funds. So again, I'm going to collapse up revenue and collapse up expenses. So again, you saw there where I couldn't type anything in because I was on the wrong report. You have to do all of your budgeting on the flow of funds tab. So I'm going to put the $210 in here. And once again, I'm going to just go ahead and copy that across. So I'm going to do the Control C or the Edit Copy to Clipboard, either one, and then I'm going to highlight all of the periods that I want to copy that into, and I'm going to go do a Control V there. Okay, so again, that same copy method is available in this entry mode. Okay, you can also use the adjustment screen in this entry mode, just like we were able to do in the journal entry offset to cash. Okay, so if I highlight the line insurance expense and I go to edit and adjustments, it'll go ahead and bring me up. I'll be set right on that insurance vehicles. Again, I could filter that list I could say that I want just those accounts that are in the account category of insurance expense. So I can come down here and choose insurance expense. There it is. Okay, and oops, I chose indirect expense. I didn't want that. I wanted insurance expense. Okay, and so I could highlight that insurance vehicles. And once again, if I want to assign an amount to multiple periods, the same amount to multiple periods, I choose assign amount to multiple periods. I select the date range that I want to assign it to. So again, it doesn't have to be a 12-month period. It could be whatever period of time you select there. Are you going to replace the data that is in the cells? Well, I really don't have any data in the cells, so I guess I could either add to it or replace it. Either one doesn't really matter. And then I could go ahead and put in the amount that I want to assign to each one of those periods and click Perform Adjustment. And then we'll see that adjustment happen over here, but it really hasn't affected my budget yet. You can see over here to the right hand side here, you can see the numbers down there, and there's no numbers yet on that insurance line below where it says the 210 for the other insurance, for the equipment insurance. There's nothing there for vehicle insurance yet. And that doesn't happen until I hit the apply button. So if I go ahead and click apply, it's going to go ahead and do that. And once again, if I have other accounts that I need to make adjustments to, I could stay on this screen and select those accounts by choosing a different account category over here. Like let's say I needed to go make adjustments to utilities expense accounts. Well, I can go ahead and select them here and then go ahead and make whatever adjustments I need to for those accounts over here on the right-hand side. Okay. When I'm done with all of them is when I want to go ahead and hit save, and that's when I'm going to go ahead and see it on my actual budget. So we'll go ahead and we'll get out of there. I had already hit save before, so I'm going to hit cancel right now. And if I come down here to the expenses, so I probably should have just collapsed those up. But if I come down here to the expenses, we're going to see the $200 in each of those fields. Now, this is an open entry mode. So open entry means that it doesn't have any offset. So it's not going to offset automatically to my cash account. So if I came down here to my balance sheet accounts, you'll see here for cash that it has no effect on my cash. Therefore, on the balance sheet, if I click over there, you don't see any change in the cash levels. So when using this method, you're basically really not concerned about monitoring your cash levels and or really budgeting for a balance sheet unless you enter in all of the adjustments to all of the balance sheet accounts manually like that, including the cash account. Okay, and then over here on the income statement, if I go ahead and collapse that up and I come down here to insurance, you will see that flow through to the income statement. So it just really doesn't adjust anything on the balance sheet when using that open entry there, unless of course it is a balance sheet account that you are actually adjusting. So just as stated before, these entries were not allocated to any profit centers or departments, production centers or locations, or any projects. So none of those management details that are available in your individual CenterPoint accounting product, depending on which version of CenterPoint that you're running. There are separate videos on how to allocate those amounts to management details.